So we are here today at Frontier Park, 2 warehouses off of the A361, and alongside of Frontier Park is the site of the current live planning application for a hotel, office and motorway services or service station complex. But what we're actually interested in today is opposite the road at Huscott Farm. So there is a live planning application, outline planning application, to build around 10 warehouses, large warehouses of about 23 metres high, which is the equivalent of 4 double-decker buses on this historical agricultural farmland. And the reason that we're here today is as part of the supplementary environmental information that was recently submitted by the applicant. One thing that jumped out was the suggestion that this area is in walking distance of Banbury. So this is important because national and local policies have a high focus on sustainable development, which is all about reducing the reliance on cars and improving walking and cycling access. So we don't think that this is legitimately walking distance of Banbury. It's not just about the distance that you have to travel, but it's also about the safety aspects. So we're today going to walk the route so you can make your own mind up and you can decide yourself whether you think that this is actually a viable walking and cycling distance from Banbury. So let's head off. We're going to head over the Junction 11 roundabout. The reason being is that there is an underpass into the gateway. I personally am not comfortable to walk. It's very isolated, as you'll be able to see on the drone footage. It's very isolated, quite a long distance to walk in that isolated area under the underpass, and so we're going to go what we consider the most safe route. So off we go. Yeah. I mentioned earlier that we would see when we approached this junction that it's very narrow, the verge, so not really much leeway to be able to make any safety improvements for this. And the last of the junction slipways to navigate. This one's quite simple because we've got the lights stopping the traffic coming off of the M40, so quite safe to cross. And much as we have found some of those a little bit hairy to navigate, the reason being is that when we come off of the roundabout onto the road down heading towards Hennif Way, we've got a footpath on this side, and if we'd have gone the other way over the motorway we still would have had junctions to navigate in much the same way. So midway along here looks to be a good point to cross. Gives us a good view. It means that we're going to not have to worry about people pulling out of this junction to our left, and we can see both ways for some distance to make sure we can see the traffic. We're walking through Grimsbury at the moment, and interesting links with Nethercote and Huscott here in Grimsbury. So back in the Middle Ages, Banbury was actually famous for Banbury cheese. Went to some royalty and was sought after across the country by all accounts. So the area that we still have east of the M40, the small area of Nethercote, the hamlet and Huscott Farm, are actually the only agricultural heritage remains that we have from those times. So it's still clear to see the ridge and furrow in those areas, and the animals that would have produced the milk for the Banbury cheese would have grazed on that land. We have the farm building at Nethercote, which would have been integral in the production. So back in those times, we have to remember that Grimsbury, Nethercote and Huscott are intertwined through Banbury history. In those times they were part of Northamptonshire, moving to Oxfordshire and becoming part of Banbury in the late 1800s. So of course today Grimsbury has been engulfed by the spread of the Banbury town. In those days it was a small hamlet. These days it's now very much part of Banbury town. But it's interesting to note that the original hamlet, or the original area of Grimsbury that was the original hamlet, is today a conservation area, designated as a conservation area, and yet Nethercote is still waiting assessment of this, and actually Nethercote is one of the very few agricultural areas of history from those days that Banbury still has. So it's really important that we preserve these areas, preserve our heritage for the future. So as we come into Bridge Street, we have in front of us the old Breverton's building. People probably know it best as, on the left hand side. Currently there is planning permission to turn this into a hotel. An application to turn it into residential units was turned down, but the hotel has been accepted. But more recently the owners, the developers of the site, have decided that that's, in the current climate, not viable. So therefore there's currently a live application for change of use to a more wider industrial use for residential areas, I should hasten to add. Interesting though, when we consider there's a live application at Junction 11 for a complex which includes a hotel and office units, that building has previously been office buildings, and that's decided that that's not viable for the area, and it has planning permission to be a hotel, and that is not considered viable either. So interesting that the application at Junction 11 includes both of these premises. So just the last leg to Banbury town. So we've been walking for around 40 minutes. You've seen the terrain, particularly the safety issues getting across the M40 junction. So remember as well that we're considering cyclists, although we're walking from the safety aspect. So hopefully this gives you the information you need to be able to decide for yourself, form your own opinion. Are the developers right to suggest that Huscott Farm is in walking distance and cycling distance of Banbury? All very important within both the councils and national sustainability policies, all about reducing reliance on cars, making developments accessible, or at least having sustainable travel options. So if you were working on that site, would you be comfortable to do this walk in terms of the time, effort, safety issues, bearing in mind that you're also going to have to do the return journey? We'll let you decide. There's a live planning application, and you can comment on that on Cherwell District Council's planning portal if you have an opinion as to whether this is walking distance. Thank you very much for watching.